All right, excellent. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Eric Lambert. I'm the Clean Water Outreach Manager with Clark County Public Works. And I'd like to introduce our project team quickly. We have Jeff Schnabel. He's the Clean Water Capital Program Manager. Devin Rostifer is the Clean Water Division Manager. Ben Joner is our Permit Coordinator. And Mike Zarikor is our consultant, one of our consultants who's helping us with this project from Osborne Consulting, and Rod Swanson is our other stormwater permit manager. And we're going to talk today about Salmon Creek Solutions, also called the Lower Salmon Creek Stormwater Management Action Plan. We called it Salmon Creek Solutions because that was a bit of a mouthful, and we'll get into a little about what that really entails right now. So if you are joining us remotely, here are some things to know. This meeting is being recorded. Virtual guests can use the chat tool to participate in the discussion. We do have some staff in the back monitoring that chat, and questions and comments will be held until the Q&A part of the presentation, which is the end. We've got about, I think, 16 or 17 slides, so it's not going to be really long because I know that some of you might be here for the ice cream, and we'll get to that afterward. So what we'll cover today, we'll talk a little bit about Salmon Creek. We're going to talk about what is Salmon Creek Solutions. It's kind of vague, but there's more to it, of course. We'll talk about some of our project goals and outcomes, how you can participate today and moving forward throughout this project, and also we'll have a time to ask some questions as well. I want to get a real quick survey. How many people came here today because they got a mailer? Okay. How many people came here today because they saw something online about it? How many people are here today because somebody told them about it? Okay, good. All right, mailers for the win. All right. So about Salmon Creek, I got another question for a little informal poll. How many people have ever enjoyed the Salmon Creek Greenway on a walk with your family or friends? Wow. Okay, so we're all on the same team here. We love Salmon Creek. I have a feeling that's why a lot of you are here. The watershed is 89 square miles. We've got a map over there that shows the watershed. The creek length is 26 miles starting from Elkhorn Mountain, and there are a number of notable tributaries, including Cougar Creek, and this is starting from the end of Salmon Creek, the mouth of Salmon Creek. Cougar Creek, Suds Creek, Tenney Creek, Lalonde, Mill Creek, and Curtin Creek, and that's generally the project area we're talking about. You move further east of there, and you get into Wooden Creek, Morgan Creek, and Rock Creeks. The project area is about 16% of the entire watershed, and much of the population lives in the project area. Much of the population of Salmon Creek lives in that area. And since the 90s, it's been a pretty big focus to restore and protect Salmon Creek. You see, salmon preservation and restoration is a big deal out here for a lot of great reasons, being a keystone species. And so there's been a lot of agencies and different departments in Clark County that have put in resources, time to protecting and enhancing Salmon Creek, including Clark Public Utilities has done a lot of planting and vegetation management, garlic mustard poles. Our Legacy Lands program has done a lot of stuff from most of the Salmon Creek Greenway was purchased by Legacy Lands Conservation Funds, as well as parks. More recently, you might have heard of the Gordy Jolma Natural Area, that golf course up further up Salmon Creek, south of Battleground, which was purchased right along the banks of Salmon Creek. We're working with the Cowlitz tribe to restore that area, and so it's been really cool to see this project continue with Salmon Creek Solutions in that effort to protect and restore Salmon Creek. And there's been challenges. There are challenges with Salmon Creek as well. Notably turbidity, which is the cloudiness of water. Temperature is an issue. because water that's too warm is inhabitable for salmon. And also bacteria issues have been identified throughout the watershed as well. A lot of these are very common in urbanized creeks, and Salmon Creek is no different. Salmon Creek is home to a few different threatened fish species, including steelhead, coho salmon, and fall Chinook salmon. And what's notable is that Salmon Creek is one of the few creeks where coho salmon are actually starting to make a recovery, which is some positive news. Yeah. So kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit here, what really is Salmon Creek Solutions? Well, it's basically our stormwater management action plan, what we call SMAP. And it's a requirement under Clark County's Phase 1 stormwater, a municipal stormwater permit. This is the permit that came about as a result of the 1972 Clean Water Act, when rivers were catching on fire from the Buffalo River all throughout the East Coast. And people said, wait a second, this isn't right. Clean Water Act comes in, cleans up these big polluters. The big polluters get cleaned up, but there's still some challenges with water quality because, well, truth be told, the more population density we have, the more development we have, the more pollution we have. And it's not like people are intentionally polluting these waters, but it's from daily activities. Maybe using too much weed and feed, maybe people not picking up after their pets, maybe a leaking vehicle, drip, 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 maybe some erosion control issues. And every time it rains, what gets outside gets washed into that storm drain. And we've done a great job of designing a storm drain system that allows us to go about our daily lives by keeping our roads clear when it does rain. The drawback and the challenge there is that that water goes directly to our streams, mostly untreated, not like the water that's inside of our house that leaves our home that goes to the wastewater treatment plant. And so that's caused some problems, and as a result, we have a stormwater permit, and one of those requirements in our stormwater permit is that we create a stormwater management action plan where we have to identify an area, a drainage or a basin, a subwatershed, and we need to develop a plan for how we can manage stormwater to improve the water quality and stream health of that area. And we've chosen Lower Salmon Creek, which is an ambitious choice because that's where most people live, and that's where some of the biggest challenges are. And this SMAP is going to be focused on sediment reduction in Lower Salmon Creek. There's just another map of it right over there. This map shows in different colors some of the different sub-watersheds or tributaries, those drainage basins that go into Salmon Creek. So over the course of this project, we will identify short and long-term projects and actions. We'll identify land management and development strategies to protect water quality, and we'll identify focused and enhanced pollution prevention activities. Now, we already do a lot of this stuff, but the point of this SMAP project is to see how we can do better. It's an exercise of looking at what we do and finding how we can do better and do more. So the first goal of our SMAP is to identify locations in Upper Curtain Creek and urbanized Mill Creek for stormwater treatment infrastructure. Stormwater treatment infrastructure can include a number of things. In this picture here, these are some, this is what we call a filter vault. And so this is somewhat of a more recent technology here. Water from a storm drain will go fill that up and they will cycle through those filters. We are now installing some filters that also remove phosphorus, which will help with some of the harmful algae blooms because, of course, Salmon Creek goes into Lake River, which goes into the Columbia, but which also goes into Vancouver Lake when the ocean high tide pushes Lake River into Vancouver Lake. And so helping to reduce some nutrient loading and also sediment and some other pollutants along the way. So we're going to analyze land, our consultants are right now analyzing land suitability to find out where some of this infrastructure could go. Filter vaults are just one piece of that solution. It can also be rain gardens along the streets that you've seen. Maybe it's permeable pavements, which allow stormwater to infiltrate into what otherwise would just be a hard surface and collecting pollutants and running off. We'll get into some of the solutions in a moment here. But the other thing we're going to try to do is to find some problem areas. And that map over there is an opportunity for you to tell us about problem areas, particularly in urbanized Mill Creek and Upper Curtin Creek, because we've been looking a lot at Lower Salmon Creek to find out some solutions and identify problem areas over the years. But specifically in this SMAP exercise, those two watersheds are what we really want some feedback on. We're also going to prioritize sites. We'll create a list of stormwater. We'll create a prioritized list of locations for these stormwater infrastructure solutions. And then our consultants will use modeling tools to understand how much water flows through the areas to appropriately size these infrastructure solutions. And finally, they will create up to 4 infrastructure plan proposals, which will be included in our annual stormwater capital plan. Every year we have a 6-year capital plan that we publish, and so we will be adding those solutions from those 2 watersheds into our capital plan. So this is an opportunity for you to participate to help us identify some of these locations so that we can put these into our long-term and short-term plans. You know, someone once said to me, he said, "Don't make decisions about us without us." And so that's why I'm glad you all are here. So some of the examples of stormwater treatment infrastructure, we have the bioretention, which is the rain garden you've seen up there. We have some permeable pavements, and these are permeable pavers. You might have also seen the porous asphalt, which kind of looks like chunky asphalt, or the porous pervious concrete, chunkier concrete that allows water to flow through it and absorb into that surface. The underground filters, which we just talked about, and then older technology, which we don't use quite as much because they're so space intensive. Bioswales or ponds are another potential solution. The second goal we have is to enhance our stormwater management activities and strategy. Now, every year we have in this stormwater permit, we have a whole list of different activities and strategies that we have to do. It's everything from working with businesses to prevent pollution, to maintaining our stormwater infrastructure, to maintaining our county lands in different ways. And so land management and development, the county owns a lot of land in this watershed, in the project area, so we can identify ways that we might be able to improve the land management that we do, pollution prevention support for businesses, identifying pollution sources and correcting them. And then we want to develop a plan to monitor the progress that we're making. And so some examples of these activities and strategies, the maintenance standards for county land, which I just mentioned. We have folks that go around and provide technical assistance to businesses. We really like to stress so that we work with businesses. Our pollution prevention specialist that goes out to businesses, the thing I hear him say a lot is, look, I want you to make $1 million. I just don't want you to do it off the back of Mother Nature. And that's exactly how we like to work with businesses to find solutions so that they can make $1 million and we can protect water as well. We identify sources of pollution and correct issues, and then of course monitoring for progress there. The third goal of SMAP here is to develop a framework to improve stormwater management, stormwater infrastructure management. We have a ton of infrastructure out there already that we've been building for the last 30 years. And it all needs maintenance so that it can function as it was intended, and it can extend the longevity of these, what we call assets, as long as we can. And so one of the things we're going to do is to create a street sweeping plan. Since we are tackling sediment as a priority pollutant in this SMAP plan, street sweeping obviously is a great tool for that. Also, we have a ton of underground pipe that has been in there for a long time, and we'd like to develop a plan that will help us inspect that pipe so that we can maintain it and we can repair it before there's a big problem. And we'd also like to identify ways to enhance our stormwater infrastructure maintenance just from the daily activities of all these different facilities that are throughout our community. Some of the facts about our infrastructure. Street sweeping, we like to try to get to residential roads 3 or 4 times a year. On the major arterial roads, the major roads, we try to get to that monthly. And there is you can see the street sweeping schedule on our Public Works page there. And these are some numbers that are not just the project area, but throughout unincorporated Clark County. We have more than 500 miles of underground pipe. We have more than 2,000 county-owned, what we call stormwater facilities. These are detention ponds, swales. These are rain gardens. These are permeable pavements. A lot of stuff that we need to maintain. We have over 13,000 storm drains and catch basins that need to be inspected every year and cleaned out when they are full, so that they can trap some of the sediment before that goes into our streams. And the fourth goal is really just a culmination of activities and goals 1 through 3, and that is to develop the actual stormwater management action plan. And we want it to be developed with community involvement. Again, thank you all for being here. You're part of that right now. It's not due for a couple of years, March 31st of 2027. And that's the timeline for that. And again, how you can participate today. We have some things over there. You can participate, share about some problem areas in Mill and Curtin Creek watersheds. There's also kind of a chart over there where you can tell us about how you'd like us to manage our stormwater in our management plan. There's kind of the do the minimum thing just to make the requirements, or go a little bit above and beyond to protect water even more. And then how we manage the infrastructure. Should we be waiting until something breaks to fix it, or do we want to get ahead of it a little bit more and try to be proactive with our maintenance and fix things before there's a big issue that disrupts our daily lives? How many people have taken the survey? Okay, we have a survey online. And I'll give you a QR code for that in just a minute. I think we have some resources in the back there. We do have a survey that's open until October 26th, which I would encourage you to take, where you can share some of your feedback that way. And then an estimated timeline that we're looking at. This is a long, fairly complex project, so that's why I usually highlight the word estimated. But we're right here in the open house and that survey that's open. And right now, again, we're planning for Mill Creek and Curtin Creek in Q1 after we have some of those capital plan solutions, infrastructure solutions. We'd like to get some feedback from you if you're willing to take surveys on those ideas. And then we'll also be working on some of the enhanced management, stormwater management activities and strategies. A lot of these things are ongoing. In Q3 of 2026, we'll also have another survey that will be asking about the stormwater management program and the enhanced infrastructure maintenance and street sweeping plans. That's going to be a bigger survey that we really like your feedback on. Street sweeping is a big deal. We also recognize it's something that is going through your neighborhoods. We'll continue to plan for the stormwater infrastructure management, and then continue that through Q4. And then in Q1 of 2027, we will share the draft of the SMAP, the Stormwater Management Action Plan, with the community for feedback. And we'll also have another open house where we'd love to see you back. I don't know if it's going to be here, but back to see about what we've kind of created with your help and involvement. So how many people saw this beautiful mural that oh, wow. All right. Yeah, we don't really do that kind of thing a whole lot, but I was really pleased with how it turned out. So I'd like to turn this over to questions now. I'd also like you to know this QR code and this website there, we have a stream health report that we publish. And you can take one of these in the back if you'd like. It's got the QR code in the back. You can look and learn about the health of Salmon Creek and a lot of our other waterways on that story map right here. It's kind of an interesting thing to look at and learn more about. So do we have any questions about Salmon Creek Solutions? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that is a great idea. I think, do we still have, Haley, do you know if we still have the GIS map that kind of shows? I think we're kind of working on a new one. Okay. Yeah, but we should publicize that more. Yeah. All right. We will make note of publishing that more. I know I briefly lived in New York City where it's like, if your street's on the wrong, if your car's on that side of the street, like you're getting towed. We're not going to do that. Don't worry. But yeah. Yeah, we do. We do the street sweeping. Is it from, you want to talk about the street sweeping?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. So, like Eric was saying before, for the high traffic roadways, the arterial streets, like the Highway 99s and the Hazelborough Avenues and things like that, that's just a monthly cycle, and it's just bang, 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 bang. So it's not a lot of time between. When we get to the neighborhoods and the residential streets, it's more of a quarterly visit. And so we try to space them out, but the one thing that we do try to focus on is at least one of those outings kind of in that fall season before we really get the first of the big rains. So they're in the middle of doing that right now. I don't know if everyone sees them on the same day, but there's a lot of roads to cover, but they do try to get everything swept up pretty good before the rainy season. And then also is kind of when leaf drop is too. So we try to get that all taken care of in one big effort. They're vac trucks. Well, not Vector trucks, but they're vacuum sweepers. So they're what they call a regenerative air. So they do have a vacuum suction on them, which is a much more effective method than the old rotary mechanical sweepers. We do have those as well, just for large stuff. They work really well on leaves and things, but the vacuum sweepers are much more productive, and we use mostly those. So, yeah. Thanks for the question. I don't know the answer.
I would just say it's a great. Right now we are looking for solutions. We're looking for input, and right now I'm not aware that we're coordinating with garbage pickup, but that is something that we'll take back from today and consider as we're developing our street sweeping plan. That's a great comment.
That's why we invite you to places like this.
Never think about needs in the gutter, but I think we out of the gutter.
I am so glad you brought that up. As a matter of fact, we're okay. Let's see the flyer, Selena. We have this really, really, really cool program called Adopt a Drain, and we're looking for people like you. As a matter of fact, because what you do is, yeah, you got one right there. A lot of people have a storm drain on their street. And like I said, we inspect that and we clean that out when it's needed. But boy, who remembers how many storm drains we have in the county? Over 13,000, right? And so when we can find motivated, stewardship-minded residents like yourself that want to do just what you're talking about, you can adopt a storm drain. You can go to the Adopt a Storm Drain website. You can find them in your neighborhood. You just click on the storm drain, you adopt it. This is where it gets fun. They'll send you a welcome packet with a little yard sign that says like, we protect Salmon Creek by adopting our drain. This is the most fun part. You get to name your drain. Yeah. I think we just adopted one, and we're calling it Salmon Saver. Salmon Saver. I've heard of some fun ones like maybe our Harry Potter fans, Hermione Dranger. Sir Drains a lot. There's a lot of drain names you can go here. So it's a lot of fun. It really just takes, they just ask, a month or every other week, you go out and kind of sweep up along the curb there. Because as much as we can keep out of that storm drain, the more likely you're going to keep it out of the stream. And you also kind of take a little bit of the load off of our public works crews, which are working around the clock to maintain these drains. Great question.
Yeah, what was the decision between Curtin Creek?
Mill Creek?
Yeah, that's another really good question. And like Eric mentioned, so there's some opportunity for those two creeks specifically in this effort. However, if you have knowledge of things that we would like to see done in the other areas of Salmon Creek, please share those as well. The reason that Curtin and Mill Creek kind of floated to the top for this effort is it's because those are areas that we haven't been able to get yet with our sort of internal ongoing planning processes. We do, fairly intensive subwatershed by subwatershed or catchment by catchment exploration to look for good capital projects to improve the stream and to improve the stormwater system. We've spent a fair amount of time looking in the Cougar Creek area, the Sudge Creek area, and you'll see, evidence of projects that we're doing in those areas right now, even today. But there's always more to look for. So the only reason that those are called out is because we haven't had the opportunity to really work there yet. So we're hoping people can get us a leg up there. That help? Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I just wanted to add what's really exciting too is that once we complete these two areas, we can officially say that we have done comprehensive planning for all of Lower Salmon Creek, and that's the goal.
I have a question about paving. We were talking, how long does it cost? Because there are a lot of the issues that come on top and they come out. Because I was in control. And I know that that's our people, but it's not a long
Just keep the mic.
Yeah, just whisper in my ear, Jeff. I'll say everything. Okay.
Another really good question. It's a mixed bag, to be perfectly honest, right? There's several types of permeable surfaces that are in use, and there's the asphalt, there's the concrete, and there's pavers, which are just basically bricks, but there's space between them instead of butted up right up against each other. So the more difficult medium to work with and be successful with has proven to be the asphalt for the reasons you mentioned, right? It is very, very easy to clog if it's exposed during, say, housing building after the roads are paved in a new subdivision. It's really easy to get them clogged, and it's really hard to unclog them, right? So that's a work in progress, trying to make those things work. We've got a number of subdivisions that have that surface, and we're working really hard to kind of learn along with the development community on how to best deal with these. And there's some longer term issues maybe too. They're not really made for they don't lend themselves to replacement or overlays like you do on a normal asphalt road, right? So some of that stuff's still got to be worked out. I think they're having some really good success, and it's a little longer lasting if they use the pavers or they use the concrete material. It just seems to be a little bit more structurally tough. I don't know if that helps, but yeah. So it's a mixed bag, but it's a technology that's still being developed and still being perfected too. So, anybody else? No?
Yeah, definitely the cutting edge of technology for that. I gotta say also, I love people that brought their kids here. I'm a father, and I'm so happy to see kids here. Oh, back here.
Those are great.
I'm wondering, how do you guys develop? Is this both the opportunities? You guys have a water? Or you if you guys are.
You want to talk about that?
I'll talk about it.
Yeah, we have a really robust monitoring program. We have 9 legacy sites that we visit every single month for the entire water year. So October 1 through October 1 the next year. And we measure, a variety of pollutants like bacteria and temperature and turbidity. And all along Salmon Creek, we have sites where we measure that. And we see those contaminants over and over and over again in our creeks. And the stream health report's a great place to go to look at those sites and look at your own watersheds to see their health. What was the other part of the question? Yes, yeah. And in fact, I think that informs it a lot, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk
Here.
about your stream health, yeah.
Yeah, so in addition to the data that's collected through the monitoring program, as part of this effort, we're also conducting stream walks. So we've been walking through some of the streams in these target watersheds and looking for problem areas, looking for the defined locations where there's a shift in the health and quality of the stream. And that'll help us, combined with the water quality data, choose locations for projects that will have the biggest impact on water quality to make the most of this effort.
I got to mention too that we do have some ice cream back there. I know that these kids have been so patient. Selena, do you want to help with any of that? We'll let the kids go first if they want to.
Yeah. And so there's anything from some but the one thing I have in the end of the two is previous presentation, things like community solution by going to the source, and you can water, and we know that there are things around historical ways to farm. So the problem challenge the database is like, private. What are the thoughts about the environment and put down a private because right it's supposed to be global. There's never a thinking you can find more and it's a friend right now. It's very I'm just curious about the conversation. And now I'm curious about rebuild for like what is that one you
Yeah, regarding the education and outreach, particularly to rural landowners and land managers, we do work with the Clark Conservation District on a lot of things, and the Conservation District has always been a really valuable entity in the community. The relationship being that they can have conversations with private landowners who and they're not required to necessarily they can have a confidential conversation and provide good advice in the name of stewardship. We also fund some programming through the WSU Extension Small Acreage Program to talk about stewardship on small acreages. And so we have some of that information. But does anyone want to speak more to some of that question?
You want to talk about the water rates?
Well, I can try.
Yeah, and I can finish with the other.
Yeah, the water withdrawals thing is a really complex problem.
A little closer to you. Just closer.
Okay, the water withdrawal issue is a very complex problem, and technically, to withdraw water from a creek in Clark County, pretty much any creek in Clark County, you have to have a water right to do it. The county doesn't enforce water rights; the State Department of Ecology does. I know there was a project many years ago where Clark Public Utilities published an article in the Columbian that said the Department of Ecology was coming down to inspect the creek next week, and the flow in the creek increased right away. But I think what you mentioned about the conservation district is probably helpful information, and it's not really part of what we're doing here. As far as the way that stormwater makes its way into the creeks, so basically the county stormwater manual, the first priority in the manual is to infiltrate all the water on site or within the project somewhere. And the last priority is to run it through a detention pond into the creek.
I think that probably covered it pretty well, but the specific project that you're referring to up on 179 to 29, that's a county road project, right? So we're widening, and there's a roundabout we put in there at that intersections for, traffic purposes. I would just add, just as a general piece of information, that's one way that we get more assets that become county-owned assets that we need to take care of. So that's a county road project that's being built through the county. That will become Clean Water Division's responsibility to take care of once it's finished. It's being built to take care of new impervious surface, new roadways, new development that's happening. So those types of projects are done by our roads department and then also by the private development community. Clean water, when we build projects, we're specifically looking at areas that have already been developed but don't have adequate stormwater treatment or flow control from when it was developed way back when, before there were many regulations. So it's a combination of those things that bring new assets and new infrastructure into kind of our stable. And like Rod said, yeah, the way those things get to the streams, it varies just depending on the type of structure or the type of facility that we're building. But most likely, if it's not infiltrating, then there's a part of that network of pipes that Eric was mentioning is carrying that water once it's treated in the facilities on down and outflowing directly into a stream somewhere. Hard to see though, most of it's underground. So.
And of course, we also had that, you might have seen at the Heritage Farm recently, that big project to restore the headwaters of Cougar Creek there. And part of the effort there is, or part of the outcome there will be to increase groundwater recharge into the creek, get that cooler water, which is going to be beneficial for salmon and stream health as well.
Thank you. My question is related to politics.
Yeah, I think the larger, kind of more intact animals will be animal control, or I think sometimes if there are pollutants or bigger pieces of debris, our roads crews can come and help get that off the road. And we have a very general form where you can on our Public Works website, where you can put in a complaint or an incident or a problem, and you could put in something like that there, and that would get routed to the correct person that could come and help with that.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about the way you imagine source control when it comes to construction, the construction stormwater, if you want the projects around. To cover things especially working on smoke and soil and serious exactly to using inspections or like do you handle
Yeah, I think I always joke with people in the county, you don't got to work in clean water to work for clean water, because water connects everything. It touches almost all the things that are happening outdoors. The erosion control stuff is primarily done, and correct me if I'm wrong here, community development, with their inspectors that are going out and looking at sites. And is that pretty accurate there?
Yeah, it's also Public Works when it comes to construction inspection.
I was just talking about this today, actually. So Eric is correct. If there's a building permit for like a smaller development, community development is out there, and there is, you mentioned the 2-day rule. Right now, we're getting ready for the wet season. It's going to start raining a lot more. There are rules that people need to have their erosion control, their silt fences up. It needs to be seeded to help prevent that dirt from running off. Because one of the things we haven't talked about, the reason we're focusing on sediment is because a lot of the nasty chemicals, like a lot of people are talking right now about tire particles. How many of you have heard about the tire particles? Okay, it's a big one. Those bind to sediment and they get into the stream. So anything we can do to keep sediment from getting into our infrastructure through street sweeping, vectors, that helps us keep those types of chemicals, heavy metals, phosphorus that impacts our lakes out of our system. So she just asked about construction stormwater. When a piece of property is disturbed through the wet season, there needs to be a way to containerize and keep that on site. As far as enforcement, that is not done through our group. It is done through code enforcement. However, we may, if there's a complaint, respond to go out and take a look, but ultimately code enforcement would work with that property owner to make sure that it gets addressed. We just did a big rate study. I don't know if you've heard about it, but in that we have included some additional capacity for more inspectors, with the goal that we'll have more boots on the ground, because we do acknowledge that as the county continues to grow and develop, it's really important that during the wet season, we have those BMPs in place to keep the dirt on the site. And if you see a problem or anything that's really egregious and is a risk to public or environmental health, that report a concern website that Eric mentioned, you can report that and somebody can respond. There's also a system called the ERT system on Department of Ecology, where you can go in and submit a complaint and someone then will follow up with that landowner.
And also there's a lot of and actually doing what they need to do. How that works and kind of open up and have the water.
I would say that we are constantly advocating and explaining and educating people on the importance of this work. And it really takes a village. It's not just us doing this work. And so we're continuing to build those resources, though, to support those activities. And if you, our council right now, this often comes up. You mentioned enforcement. That is a really important tool. And it is something that we recommend and often are helping advise those that are responsible for that needs to happen. And we do also really partner and rely on our friends at Department of Ecology.
Yeah, I will also add that the county is part of a regional group of other stormwater permittees in Clark County, including the city of Vancouver, Camas, Washougal, Battleground, and Ridgefield. We call it Stormwater Partners. And that's something that we've been eyeing as a project because it's something that all jurisdictions are dealing with. The track out, the things that are really causing issues from some of these sites. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you. Well, okay, so Stormwater Partners is more like the stormwater permittees that partner to enhance and collaborate on outreach, education, different stormwater issues. The county does have a Clean Water Commission, which is a 9-member resident advisory board. I think we just filled the most recent positions, but Alice over here helps to coordinate that group, and she could talk to you more about that.
So, like, for the tracking the stormwater, do you guys put that out, or is it so?
That's a great question. So when there's trash in the stormwater, like litter, basically, if that's moving down the street, maybe it's picked up by the water and floating down, right? That will go toward a storm drain. And a lot of times the storm drains, you might have seen them, they kind of have a grate on them, right? So sometimes if the trash is big enough, it will get caught on there. And then hopefully the street sweeper will come, or people that adopt their drains will come and pick that up. And then if it's small enough to get down there, basically that storm drain is like a box. And there's a space between the bottom of the box, and then there's a space that's a little bit higher where the pipe goes out, and that's the pipe that's going out to the stream. So the idea is that water goes in there, and hopefully, if it's something that's like gonna settle, like the sediment or the dirt, maybe some litter, will settle down into that box below the pipe. So maybe the idea is that litter might settle down, and then some of that water without the litter, hopefully, goes into the pipe, into the stream. And then when we go around and we inspect each storm drain, we'll open up the grate, look in there. Oh, that's too full. That's getting close to the out pipe, right? The out pipe. And so we got to get a big vacuum in there. You get the vacuum truck in there, and it sucks out that sediment and that litter. That's an ideal world. That's how that works. Doesn't always happen, but that's a great question. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Salmon Creek is one area where coho are recovering, as Rod pointed out to me earlier today. So that is good. As far as doing that type of in-stream work on your own, I don't know if I would advocate for that. There are a lot of different agencies, from the Lower Columbia Estuary Partnership to the Lower Columbia Fish Enhancement Group that do some of that work. You might have seen, like, where they put a bunch of logs in the water. What are you doing just putting a bunch of logs in the water? Well, that makes habitat, and that can help build up some of those gravel beds that the fish, as you pointed out, need to spawn. So I would say for the most part, what you can do on the stream side, if you live beside the stream, by planting some native plants there for better habitat, for shade, probably the best approach for now.
Okay. So 2005, we started working by a sample report for the working water. Basically, is less than east part. And when you see that, one kind of storm that blew out, and of course, most recently, the development plan was actually the construction, destruction, we look at their work, and so we want to include it, see it, and we see it. And so we call it group enforcement reports. So final, that tells us the figures, economic, see outflow, And in the process, and so we have this CRT, this part of the colonies, if you got problems, you guys don't have to force you to and previous time, trading funds, and that's just part of business to them. But unfortunate circumstance that I don't see with it. So in this process, they have to county, power public works director. Never heard back from him. Thought he was about money. Well, you gotta get the cost of it. So what you guys are doing, what participating, if you can press some buttons, get forcing for the code officers to want to do something, I don't know what that is. Until I got these increases that continue. But they can't do this. And if I like to keep even the URP system find the else, get that work. One of the fines for a call.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing. I understand your frustration there, and I think you're on the right path to making the changes that you want to see there. A lot of those things are, code issues, and code is adopted at a council level. Any other questions? He's coming out with a mic for you right here.
It's really the time of year where the leaves get start popping. I'm going to suck sadly, but they pick up our young leaves, and now they're getting 2 weeks. But when the leaves start dropping, there's so many leaves. I think a lot of people know what to do with them. I've seen it called back to storm drains. We have a really good storm drain system. But it would be nice if they yard drain, once a week.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in other places. Over here, it's it seems to.
Yeah. So one thing that we've done, and we partner with our solid waste team on this project, is starting. Is it already on, Selena? The leaf coupon? Yeah. Coming out. It's I think it's already out. It's from October, right? Yeah. So there's a leaf coupon, a free leaf coupon that can they get that off the Green Neighbors website? Do you know, or? Yeah, and Waste Connection. So during this time of year, that's a legitimate. I deal with the same thing, and I'm every other week too. And so there's a leaf coupon that you can then take like a whole bunch of leaves, like a couple of yards, to the transfer station or to a couple different locations around town and dispose of them for free. Yeah. 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 I hear you. I have a little Honda Fit, and it's like, what am I doing here? Like, yeah. I think it's going to be harder to influence that. We have a contract with Waste Connections about when they're doing that based on rates that we set periodically. Yeah.
It's only this time of year.
Yeah. Well, I'll let our solid waste folks know. I know that in the city of Vancouver, where I live, and it's not the county, but they put like a little bin. They put like something to help out a little bit. But I know the leaves this time of year.
And so, you know, that's the community, but individually, I don't do
Yeah, that's a good idea too. And I'd say the other one is maybe have you explored home composting? Okay, okay.
Sometimes we'll share, you know, my neighbor's stuff.
Yeah, that's a great way to make good relations with your neighbors too. I bet that's great. Any other questions? You guys have had some awesome questions here. Give it up for yourselves. It's been awesome. Okay, one more. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
planting more, you know, pollinator contact and using flowers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know, one thing that another program that we do fund, and you may have heard of this, some of you may have heard of this, the backyard habitat certification program, where there are like 5 different things that, you know, from, you know, reducing or eliminating pesticides and limiting fertilizers, and planting native plants and managing stormwater on site. So we fund that program. And if you sign up for that, you get someone to come out and give you some technical assistance. I hear what you're getting at a little bit though, like the HOA might have some rules about like, you can do this, can't do that. Let's talk later. I did come across some, you know, Washington State code that may like permit some pollinator plantings, given kind of the gravity of that situation and the importance of stewarding that aspect of our ecosystem. So yeah, let's talk about that. But yes, we do. Up until a couple of months ago, it was just me doing all the outreach education. So if you've been like, where is the county's outreach? It was me, and you probably didn't see me because I was kind of busy. But now I got a team with Haley and Selena back here who are awesome. And yep. And we would be delighted to come out and speak with folks. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. But wait, there's more. Look at these water bottles. These are so cool. I'll tell you why. Because they're you can't buy these. There's 3 things that's cool about them. One is that, you know, these salmon are made of raindrops, which is just so symbolic. Protect water, only rain down the drain. You've probably seen that. Number 2 is they're custom designed by our former graphic designer. She just retired a couple months ago. But the 3rd thing that's really cool about them is they're not just made in the USA, they're actually made in Washington. So we're supporting, when we buy things for special events like this, supporting our local economy. This all comes to get to, like, we're going to do a raffle for some of these water bottles. So some of you are going to walk home with some of them. And the first person is Carol Erickson. Yeah, okay, look at all right. Yeah, let Carol pick. There's some that have a screw top, and there's some that have the gray top, which are slightly different. Okay. Bob Sale. Bob here. Must be present to win. Okay. McCarty. Is it is her last name McCarty? Okay, I got a ticket number. Do you guys have the other side of your ticket too? It's MCCARTY. Looks like last name. I can't really read the first name. It looks like an initial, maybe like an R. R McCarty.
No.
No. I guess I should say it must be present and legible to win. To me. Jeannie McCauley. Whoa. Wow. That's like the law of attraction, right? Is there something like that? Holy cow. Okay. David Hoffman. Is David still here? David Hoffman. We got Sherry. Gavin. Yes. All right. We got Doug Hall. And then Doug Hall. There it is. Okay. And Enhai Kendi. Okay. All right. Andrea Lowe. Karen Henrich. Karen here. Corey V. Corey V here. Are you Corey? All right. Is it Gail Shaw? Okay. Last one. Okay. Fernanda Venezuela. Yay! All right. Hey, we're gonna be around for. You guys had so many great questions, but we're gonna be sticking around till 7:30. Participate over there. That map right there. Put a dot where you live, and we can kind of fill up that watershed and see where people came from. Thank you all so much. You had incredible questions. I appreciate y'all being here to help with our Salmon Creek solutions. Help yourself to some ice cream in the back, please. We have a bunch of it. So thank you. Hey, Eric Laser.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, Joe, my car.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's coming right out the outside.
That should be in. Yeah, right. But yeah, I know. The cost of doing business. I'll tell you, it's. I'm telling you.
I'm in the Karen Rachi.